3, 2, 1.
Light 'em up.
I'm Paul.
Buck.
This is the Paul and Buck Show.
Hey, the big Buckin deal. Here we go, guys. We're back. Paul and Buck Show. Got Paul, me, Buck.
So where did we leave off last time?
Well, it's been a while. First off, it's been a hot minute. It's probably been about.
Can you hear me pretty good?
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I got you. So, man, it's been a while. It's probably been a couple months, but I don't know, where did we leave off at? We were talking about just the first of the new year, basically. First new year. Right. We were talking about we were going to do some more of just a detailed. Not necessarily race related.
We did a recap, right? Of some
well, we did a recap of 2023, but we were talking about we're going to do more into just not all racing, if you will, related stuff. But
I haven't paid attention too much to race book to see what's going on. But there's been some no prep events that have been popping up, and a lot of out of town stuff that's come up.
There's been a lot of out of town stuff, and on top of the weather.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been, I think the whole month of April, there was like a ton of things that were.
But a couple of people passed away, a couple of racers, right?
Yeah, there was that event. It was Mustang Mike, or not Mustang, California. I can't remember. I think it's California Mike, but it was at Eagle Pass.
Yeah,
it was at the Eagle Pass.
Hometown, yeah.
So, unfortunate line of events that had occurred. There was that racer, So
was it a top-end crash or a?
I don't know the details. There was just a lot of. It was at that Eagle Pass track, which is
some photos. But
it wasn't a top-end race. It was like a normal race, but it was no prep, obviously.
Yeah, but that road is highway road.
That's a highway. It's like it's like asphalt.
Yeah, it's asphalt, and then they've got. I don't know how far the barriers go, but they have those big block off cement barriers that they put in. Everybody just seems to just park on the side of the road, and then the track starts.
That was about 2 months ago. I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, unfortunately, hate to hear that. That was a bad situation. But because he was part of the scene. He was a racer. He was one of the top dogs. He was a top dog. He had a couple cars, the car that he. Anyway, so it was a bad deal. And I don't know if there was some. There's been a few other major. I don't want to say major, but some accidents. But overall, this was before like the weather came through there. Because they've been running since January, February, March. They were hitting it. Weather, no matter what the weather was.
Yeah.
But
you talking about an Eagle Pass?
Well, just in general. Yeah,
it's like most of these races they push through the.
They were going all. Yeah, they were pushing through the storm. It doesn't matter.
Why didn't you go?
Yeah.
I did what?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of that.
It had 90% chance of rain, but it ran. But so there's been a lot of events this year, and there's gonna be a whole lot more. But like I said, there's just a lot of bad weather right now. It's been 4 weeks of just crappy weather.
All this week.
Rain. All this week. Pretty much the whole month of April.
Yeah.
We're coming into May, which, depending, as of right now, there's like crazy weather going on right now.
Since that.
Did you? It was it last week? There was like. As long as I've been here in Texas, we probably had 3 or 4 different hailstorms.
Nothing that's scary. It's like stuff you can watch. It's bouncing off. No, this stuff since that one
in December
torpedo freaking hailstorm that we had, not even golf ball. They were like softball size, in some cases, right?
Yeah.
So that has had me on alert ever since, and so there was this.
It's been crazy.
So I went through one of the Facebook pages of what the local area around here, Round Taylor.
Yeah.
And they said everybody was pointing towards this one meteorologist that's out of Pflugerville.
That's
that dude.
I know, because
he's been scaring the shit out of. He is spot on. He's been scaring the shit out of us.
I can't remember his name, but my wife was. Well,
bundled up tornado.
Yeah, I would say, like, well, K-View didn't say this. Well, let me see what his.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, let's listen what he had to say. I can't remember his name. His name is James something. I think.
Yeah, Jeff. Is it Jeff?
Jeff or James? Yeah. But anyway, that's the guy that you want to hear. Like,
he's accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So it's like whenever you hear him say like. Possible hailstorm tonight. Like, well, that's why I bought my truck here the past couple days. But same thing with you. Like, but so anyway, never ever had one hailstorm like major a year, but we probably already had 3, and like the one that was recently last week, like in like I don't know, Fredericksburg or somewhere, like they had like grapefruit size hail.
Oh, not only that, but we also had the what the hell is it? Twilight, the damn lunar eclipse.
That's when
the one in a
started.
Lifetime since the 1500s.
Yeah, that was the full
super full
lunar.
one.
Yeah, so that was April 8th, and dude, literally at that day after, that's when the weather started.
It started
It
started tripping.
Yeah,
the weather started tripping. We started getting rain nonstop. And
so that was April 8th major.
And then it don't help that Mexico started doing their
fires.
What the hell are they burning down there?
They do it every damn year. We get a haze of it, and we get like people who's got like.
You think they're doing? Is it for like vegetation or something? I guess farming.
It's some kind of ag thing.
Because I've never been deep in Mexico. I just looked across the border. It looks pretty freaking wild coyote, beep, that kind.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're burning, but so I assume it's
usually deep in
towards Mexico City or something.
So whatever they're doing, it's always an ag thing, but.
So it grazes out big time though, man. Out here, it's like it's got to be a major fire for us to go gray.
Yeah,
like the sun's shining and it's just gray.
Yeah, it's a haze, and it's even worse when they can show it on the radars. Well, here's the thing.
That's nuts.
Yeah, you can see it on the radar, and it's like, well, this is from Mexico. I'm like, what the hell? But it's usually the bad weather days. If you're not used to having one of those days, if you got asthma or something.
So that dude on Thursday, he says, "Watch out! We've got a blanket storm coming in all the way from Amarillo all the way down to the tip of Georgetown, Round Rock area, and it's moving west." And so we look at the radar that he does, and it looks pretty crazy because it looked like it was going to even go down to San Marcos. And so I'm like, oh man,
well, it did, didn't
Here
it?
goes, yeah, it did. So,
It did.
So I'm scrambling again for my cars because I don't have enough. I have 3 cars, and I'm like, where'd I put them all, right? And then the daily my truck. So I'm like, oh, where'd I go? Sonic under a bridge because some people were doing that, right?
Go to Circle K.
Yeah, some people were doing that, and so I said, well, I guess I'll just I'll put my covers back on.
Yeah.
And for some reason, so one of my brothers lives out in Kyle. Right. And he goes, oh man, it's hailing, it's here, and he's showing us the little golf balls about this big.
Yeah.
It completely just jumped right over us,
Yeah.
And it never even touched Taylor as far as Taylor,
Yeah, it was last week. We got some hail, but we got a lot of wind. It was like strong wind.
Yeah, the wind was crazy. I have a brick house, man. I don't even feel it.
Yeah.
But I can hear just.
It was whistling.
Crazy.
It was whistling, and you can hear the hail, but. I don't think it was big enough to do anything because it didn't do nothing.
Do you have a ring at your house?
Yeah.
You ever just open the phone and just look out there and just like,
I was looking at it, and then I was looking out the back window, and I could see my I got a little pergola back there, and I could see it just lifted. It was strong. It didn't do no damage, but it was a lot of people. There was a neighbor across the street broke a tree.
Oh really?
Yeah. Wow. So, but I mean, this year's been crazy with weather. So, to like the racing scene, it's like
they still manage to. We're gonna go.
Oh yeah, they'll manage some way.
We'll sit it out
because it's always that meme that shows on Facebook. It's like you show the forecast Monday through Thursday sunny, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday's raining. It's like, okay, that's usually that's the way it's been going.
Who got invited is gonna make it rain, right? That never goes to the track.
Or it's that guy that, hey, I'm gonna wash my car today. No, I'm gonna wash it. It's gonna rain. But that's the way it's been. It's like the forecast every time the forecast okay, it's been sunny Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday's been raining.
Little River has a bad rap for always flooding every freaking event out, right?
Yeah.
If somebody posts an event, it's like scary up until Friday. Good Saturday. And it's just,
the thing about Little River is that in Temple there is that even if it rains like super hard on Thursday, 9 times out of 10, because again, I mean the track. I mean not just the track. The track will dry. It's the infield, right?
It's that pretty camping ground.
Yeah,
that
turns into like a little mud pit.
Yeah.
So I understand, and that's what you got to do, because they're like, why'd you cancel it? It don't show no rain, but
you can't drive rain.
It's a puddle of water, and you can't drive your trailer, and there you get stuck. So that's what it's been here lately. But looks like.
And I wouldn't want them to even put asphalt on it, because you ruined the whole.
Yeah.
The whole scenery of what Little River is. So
and
it's better that they just close and save it for another day, because it's a really nice.
It's smart because, like I said, and you don't want to risk it, because I mean, now back a long time ago, it didn't really. We would still try to go. I mean, just because the way I was, and a lot of people were that.
Yeah.
You try to make it, and you're like, I don't care if it rains, it'll blow over, and like try not to park in the mud, right? And you have your trailer. Ramps down in the on the asphalt or concrete, but it happens. So unfortunately, it's gotten the best of it. So you can't do nothing about it. So if it's gonna rain, it's gonna rain. You just wait. I mean, it'll be another makeup, or hopefully we say that hopefully it's gonna be the weather's gonna be good enough to where you can at least. It's one thing I said. I always enjoy the rain that we're getting now, because in the summertime you're gonna be getting rain. So
you're not just a weekend racer. You were a dedicated racer for a long time. What does the rain do? And this is for the listeners that like to just listen about car stuff, right? Yeah. What are the effects of the rain on a prep to track when you go in the next day and they just had a rain out? What are the effects that you're gonna be looking out for, that you got to watch out for? Does the stickiness does it affect that? Does it affect the your traction? What do you compensate with? Because you're a nitrous car.
Yeah. And when it comes down to that question, that's a good question. But let's say it rained like a good 2 days, 2 days before the actual race, or 1 day, whatever. And you're like, hey, it's all dry. But the thing that you got to worry about a lot of tracks, and same thing with Didden.
And you don't have a slow car, so if you lose control, it's
well, same thing at Didden. The water used to seep up from the ground, seep through the track.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So at Little River, I'm not saying Little River, but all the tracks, but at Little River, you got little transitions, right?
Yeah.
Where they, you got two surfaces meeting or two surfaces meet. The water can seep up, and yes, it can be pretty kind of crazy if you're, making a good pass and water gets under your tire because it's seeping. You don't know it, you can't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, you may see it, but it can be pretty bad.
Because 12 seconds is fine, 11 seconds is
and
10,
then,
9, and 8, you ain't got time.
And then the other thing is if, hypothetically, if you had like some regular tires on the front and you got slicks in the rear, and if you go through the water bike, you got something to pick up on your wheel well, and then water can slowly drip back down or run back down and get under. I mean, just like fluid. Fluid, you can be making a good pass and a little drip of transmission fluid, and it just make you go left or right. Same thing with water. So, I mean, it is a safety thing, especially if you got some fast cars, you got a fast meet, you don't want to go down. You have to make absolutely sure that the ground is not seeping.
Have you ever gotten to the point where you just walk the track?
Oh yeah, you have. I mean, it's not a habit. Right. I mean, but you do one time you want to go and at least kind of walk the track at least about 100, 200 feet. Yeah. But I mean, even if you're at like on the guardrail looking down at about 400 or 500 foot, 8 miles, and you still kind of want to look.
Right.
I mean, but overall, is if the track prep is good, okay. But even if the track prep is good, it can still seep water.
Or it could be the car.
It could be the car, yeah. I mean,
like
there's a lot of things, yeah.
I still don't understand what happened that one time. It was several years back, but there was a Mustang. I think it was just right past the 60-foot. He lost control and he hit the guardrail and he went over it.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that one?
Yeah. There was a couple times.
Were you standing there? I mean, I recognized a few faces walking around there.
Yeah, there was it was like a '67. It was a bracket car.
It was a bracket car.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was fast, but it wasn't like super fast.
It was an easy slip.
Yeah,
it just all of a sudden the car just went.
Yeah, he went over the guardrail, like over the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was his name was Toon, but he was a bracket racer, and I think he ran like 650s. I mean, it's fast.
And those guys do it all the time.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, so it was. I don't know what happened. Something happened.
The car just went.
Something made a broken axle. Or something weird happened because it just shot over. and he went over the guardrail, went over the fence.
Yeah.
And I think took out a pole, light pole.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Took out the light pole.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything can happen. Like I said, I'm not saying a track conditions by all means. That's number one, but anything can happen in racing. You got like I said, a failure, brake line, something that you don't think of that can happen.
Does Little River have that the torch, the truck where it's got the torch?
I think
to heat it up?
they do have it now. Before they used to have a guy that used to just walk behind. Yeah, you either walk the track, or he'd get behind like the 4-wheeler and torch it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now they got some equipment.
I've seen a lot of improvements.
Yeah, they got some equipment. They got a scraper. They can torch it, and you can scrape it. And you can, you got your spray. You can, put your, traction compound down. So I mean, the prep is it's key, right?
Yeah.
The prep is key to any track, and the thing here is that Mike's going to be for safety, right? I mean that's
right.
It's not worth of trying to get to make racers happy.
Yeah, so don't hate just because he cancels.
Exactly.
He's thinking of everybody.
Don't be upset at him because he cancels because the forecast may show 90%, then it doesn't rain at all. He's just going by. He's just looking out to say, hey, if it's
could
wet,
be that he couldn't rescue the track or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Especially, I mean, I'm not saying especially, but Little River's had some.
Yeah.
The foundation is being that it's so old. It's right by the damn river.
It's an old highway.
It's right. Yeah, it's old Highway 95. It's right by the dang river.
Yeah.
So something, so.
Well, rain like at my house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even have a bad incline. It's slightly elevated, but it's enough that when the water
Runs
comes
down.
from my back fence,
It runs.
I mean, it's directly towards my house, and then it goes into the front street, right? So my backyard gets affected more than it does the front yard.
Oh, yeah.
So grass tends to grow like a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Dirt gets a little softer, a lot faster. And it's just crazy when and I think Little River's the same way. You're next to the bridge, and so the water tends to cruise towards the river.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean that's the thing, because if you ever go look at some of the runoff from the track, it runs down the river. So all that soil is not necessarily going in. It does kind of go, feeds back in and around. But anyway, I'm not no expert, but just from past experience, I know that track can seep when it gets excessive.
The mud can get pretty critical in the parking spot.
Yeah, the parking spot's key. Like I said, sometimes you got little puddles of water. Just try to avoid them. But don't get me wrong. Like I said, if it's number one, if it's lightning, they're not going to even power the equipment. And number two is that if it does rain for a pretty good amount, then you're going to have puddles. There's low spots. Every track's going to have low spots. You can't. Sometimes racers, for whatever reason, they tend not to avoid them. So you can have water that's going to drug out, and that's just recipe.
Now I've noticed that those who have been there long enough, like in the summer, everybody's under the trees, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a certain time of the year where nobody is under the trees, and I'm wondering, like, why did nobody park up here? Everybody's at the end of the track or on the side of the track. Nobody wants to be under the tree.
That was always the thing. You used to park under a tree, or at least could be on one of those big pecan trees. But they took a lot of pecan trees out. But I mean, there's still a lot there. But even like on the riverside, I mean, that's parking. They're always going to park on the fence.
Right.
But now they got it on the pit side where you can't do it. They're just trying to save some room, so there's not really a lot of parking at certain spots. But now they got a little grandstand, like kind of on the pit side. That's kind of away. That's kind of ideal. You want people away from the fence. But Little River got upgrades. They got a new tower. They got a new tower.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Wow.
they did a couple little Connex storage boxes, and then I mean, they've done a whole lot of other things. But so I'm kind of eager to get out there. So speaking of eager getting out there, right? So they got an event this weekend.
That is the vintage drags.
The vintage drags, the 17th and 18th of May this weekend.
And for those who don't know, how did the vintage drags come around? How long has the vintage drags been at Little River? I imagine it's been going on and on since the 80s. It just gets renamed.
Yeah, it used to be the Continental, and it was probably something before the Continental.
Right.
And they named it. There was another name I can't remember, but yeah, it's been around for probably 40 years. In the vintage drags is basically it's pre 63 or pre 73 or something like that.
I think the number flips because I know like Santa with his stuff, it's like pre 65 or something like that. Now they changed it a little bit to 67.
Yeah, I think they got a little grace in there. I want to say it's like pre 73 or something.
Yeah.
So, but before it used to be like 63 or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the vintage drag's been around a long time. It's been renamed, you know, a couple different times. So, the either the event organizer, this, you know, he wants to keep it going, and or I'm sure they got some sponsors. But I think it's just, I don't know who does the vintage drags now, but it's still the same concept. It's basically.
Yeah, I was going to say that concept.
Yeah.
At what point, like you've been going to them a lot, right?
Yeah, right.
From the early ones, right? Because you're a lot closer.
Yeah.
What does it mean, vintage? In the early years, what was vintage? Because now vintage is what was when we were there when we were young, right?
Yeah.
So what the hell is what is vintage back in the day? What kind of cars were we looking at back then?
So you got to be looking at cars that
Let's say it was 1990. What did vintage mean when you went to the track back
then? So the vintage is basically, to me, back then I think it was 63.
Mm-hmm.
So it had to be 63 or older year, period. So, and the other thing too is that the vintage to me means it's.
You would take your 55.
Yeah.
The truck or the car?
The truck.
Okay.
The truck. Yeah, the truck. We would take the truck. So, in the way they broke it down, so vintage to me meant like it was okay. It's kind of a nostalgic.
Mm-hmm.
Has to be not, and we're not looking at period correct stuff. It's just a matter of the year, right? We're just looking at a year, because they always ran it, and they still do it now. Where they broke it down, they had it broke by street rod and muscle car, like kind of a muscle car class. Like so, they had it broke down in two different categories, I guess.
Right.
So you would have like the cars from like the 40s to 30s, right? They would have the class, and then you have like the 50s and 60s.
Right.
Would have a class cars, and then the winner out of those two classes, they would run what they call the top eliminator. They would run each other.
Oh,
so they would have the street rod winner and the muscle car winner,
Yeah.
and they would run each other, and then that was like the top eliminator.
So that's why, because I remember there was a coupe, like a 32 running I saw once running a blue 55.
Yeah.
That was one hell of a freaking race,
and
man.
so that's how they had it broke down. So they had those years of like a coupe or like a a roaster.
And I'll explain how that took apart. I've got the Bible here, but keep on going.
So it's kind of the same thing now. They kind of do the same thing, right? They got it broken down by class, but I think it's 73 now. So now they still have those two same classes, like a true roadster kind of a deal, what they call street rod. And then they still have like this muscle car kind of deal, like a door car, I guess.
Now, when the Continentals came around, and I guess they just, I don't know if they took it over or not, but they, I remember when I started seeing, I was like, what is the Lone Star Roundup?
Right.
And I used to live in the middle of downtown back then. So I'm like, what is this Lone Star? And this was like in the second year. So I started, internet, out during lunch and looking at it. It was just a small group, I think it was right there at the Holiday Inn on 35 where they were having it. Yeah, it was small. I drove in about 67.
Like right down 290 and 35, yeah.
No, 35 Holiday Inn and Riverside.
Oh, that Holiday Inn.
Man, I drove in there with my Camaro. I had slots, a tunnel, and I'm like, and I was still outdated, too new, because these cars were really nice. They were Roadsters and Mercs and stuff like that. But I was trying to figure out what the difference was with those guys and what was going on at Little River. And what I did notice, what I learned, at least back then, this was probably about 2005, 2006. What I had noticed was that a lot of the old time racers, like the real guys from the 50s and the early 60s, they started bringing out their cars. Like they started actually racing them. You know what I mean? The stuff that you hadn't even seen since they quit racing in the early 60s, like Olin, from Taylor.
Yeah.
And so I started really seeing nostalgic period correct cars for a long time in those little small events, and then it got back to what you were doing, you know what I mean? But for a while there, it was like period correct cars, and it was, and it grew so big, right?
Yeah, it got big. I mean, they used to be, and because they used to have this thing, I think twice a year.
They even had a theme of dressing up, slip, the black jacket, the funds look.
They sure did. They did. They had like a little. Well, there was always somebody there that always represented that period, and they still to this day.
Yeah.
But and then they would have like somebody catering that was kind of in that kind of theme, or selling some merch or whatever. But
So, and I'm kind of a Texas drag racing history buff.
Yeah.
I'm not, by no means do I know the whole thing, but
So
nobody really knew who these racers were back then, right? But for me, because I had just started researching the Austin guys, right?
Yeah.
But I get to see what the Texas version of Don Garlitz was.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
Bob Langley, the Scorpion, dragster, and they took the car. They took the car to Little River, and the guy got in his car. I don't know who was. I think it was him. Pretty sure it was
Yeah.
him. But he made a full pass. And I was like, wow, man. I mean,
Yeah.
who's gonna get to see
Yeah.
a car from 1956 dragster? Front engine, fully bodied car.
Yeah.
With the Hemi, the carburetors and stuff.
Yeah.
Make a rundown. And what was weird was my '55 Chevy that I had. A buddy of mine had it, and he had put a 427 with the blower on it. Car went down to South Texas, and it ended up being sold. But he ran. I forgot his name, but he had it was a little white wabbit. It was a little, like a little Anglia or some little car, altered coupe.
Yeah.
And he raced my buddy in my '55, but his car's front engine heavy, and so it leaned over when he let off, and the back wheel came up and started going into his car. And somebody had taken a bunch of photos and showing the car leaning all over the place. And he said, the old man came around, man. He shook my hand. He says, man, I thought you were going to take me out. I said, do you know who you were talking to?
Yeah.
I go, you're talking to a Texas legend right there. You might as well be talking to Don Garlitz, one of these old dudes. And he's like, for real? He goes, man, I almost took him out. He almost took out a car. Yeah, but no, man, he would have freaking, no, he looked like he was going into his back wheel, man. He would have took he would have canceled out.
Took out the legend.
Yeah,
so even on that note, so it continued to go into, like I said, from the 80s and then the 90s and then 2000. But there was a time, I don't remember, it may have been about 10 years ago, that it kind of, like they didn't have it. Like it was maybe like a year or two, maybe 3, and then it came back. But it came back hard. Now, every time you go to these vintage drags, I mean, they're packed. I mean, they're slammed. They had one October last year.
Because people want to see that, right?
Yeah,
it's not about who's running it; it's about
the
cars.
And the other thing, it's a bracket, which is it is what it is. I enjoy bracket racing. That's where I started out at. So it's a bracket. So even in the class that you're in, whatever period, street rod or muscle car, then you got a chance to win. You don't have to be the fastest car. Yeah. That's the thing. That's what makes it. You don't have to have a fast. It's not like a heads up. You don't have to have the fast car. It's a bracket. So yeah. So anybody, anything, you'll see a variety of anything, of kind of cars. So which is cool. I still enjoy it. Anytime I get a chance to go, I try to go. So and like that's where you see everybody
last
that
time
you haven't seen in
the
a
one
while.
time that I had gone, because I usually don't go out there, but there was one time where I did go because some of the legends out of Boston, and I'm like, I'm always down for it. If I can meet a dude that hasn't come out racing for a long time, then I definitely will go out there. Like, what's his name with the '55 Nomad?
Mark.
Well, not Mark, the car, the owner.
Oh, God dang it! I talked about him the other day.
Yeah, he's around, right?
Yeah, he's still around. God dang it! He's from Cameron.
So I went because I wanted to meet him, right?
Yeah.
And also there was going to be Ragsdale, his dad. He's another famous drag racer. So I'm like, oh man, I gotta go just to even see him.
That's right.
So I go out there, and Joe White is out there.
Ed Morrill.
Yeah. Yeah. And so so these guys are there, man, and I'm just amazed, man, because you're seeing stuff that you haven't seen. I mean, you're looking at it. You look for so many years. You look at a old photo, black and white, or even a nasty. What is it? The chroma film that makes the film look kind of weird. They don't even make that film no more. But I had a bunch of these guys documented. I was like, one day I'm gonna just put a book out and show all these photos. But to know that I finally figure out that these guys lived in Austin or they lived in the outskirts, and I'm like, I gotta go meet them. So Ragsdale, they came over here with the Mustang.
Yeah, of course.
I met him because he was walking with his dad, and his dad was wearing actually the shirt with his name on it and everything on the car and all. And so I walked up to him and I said, "Are you freaking, what's on?" He looks at me, he smiles, he goes, "No, I'm not." And then his dad goes, "Come on." I was laughing. I go, "That is him." He goes, "Yeah, it's him." But that was fun,
Yes,
and that's how I met him. It turned out that they lived out there in Buda, and that's where I used to go to the hangout.
Over there in Buda,
so, so I got to meet it and check out his Mustang. That's why he came out.
Yeah. Well, he's out there. He runs his Mustang too,
and he had some knowledge, right? Because he was hanging out with his dad throughout his whole career as a little kid.
Yeah.
I mean, driving in a pickup truck with the camper and
making all the races. Yeah,
that was. I mean, that's intense, right? I mean, how would you
that's
be if you were a little kid?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, come on, we're gonna go drag racing. That's all you know, your whole life, you know. So you enjoy it.
He had a wealth of knowledge, and just from we talked about the stuff they were doing back then. They're doing it today. It's just in a different form or some way. Just they were doing that same.
Lots
shit.
of camera action, lots of media coverage.
Well, I mean, just the way they tune cars you kind of do, There's just a lot of tons of stuff that he put in there. Like they kind of do something similar to this day. They just did a little different.
The nitro stuff still amazes me because I was looking up, what is it? Because nobody really runs nitro. It's like, nah, man, that's crazy. That shit.
Not in like in this
street level.
Yeah,
but these guys on a street level, that was like their power adder. Like today it's a turbo.
Hell yeah.
Back then it was a supercharger. And how do we make the car go even faster? Well, there's a little bit of this stuff you can pour in there. And so they played with it, as early as like the 19. Well, it got popular by the mid 50s, and then they outlawed it. But every time I would talk to one of these guys, when I had my blog in like 2009, 2010, every guy that I would interview for my blog, they all tried it. Oh yeah, I tried 40%. Oh, I tried 50%, 60%. One time I tried 80. I blew the block and split that. And so I looked at what is the potential when you run nitro, and it's 3 times the cubic inch of the motor. Depending on the amount of nitro you put in it.
Yeah, it's vital.
So you can run 20 and it'll get you a little faster. It's like a 125 shot. You run 40, it's like a 250 shot.
Yeah.
You run 60. Now, if you run 80, you're asking for it, but your motor better have the stuff on it. So every time Don Gardner talks about it, when you see him on TV, this is all the tune that these 392s could take, or you split the block, and then he goes until the 420, the new one came out, and we realized we could run more percentage, and it could take it, So that's when he started shattering all records. But these guys at Little River back then, man, they all they knew was mechanical injection, and put some nitro in it, and see how it goes, And if you could master that. You can still to this day smell it, and it'll stop making your eyes water. It's headache. You're on the stand sitting there.
Your eyes water and throat burn.
You can smell it after car. It's those alters that show up. I love that. That's the category that I like seeing.
Oh yeah, dude, it's fun. Alters are crazy.
And then you're 55 with the little small tires.
Yeah, well like so you see an alter with the Hemi and short wheelbase. Yeah, it's gonna be a ride.
Yeah,
it'll be a fun ride.
You can hear the motor. It's like it's alive.
Oh yeah,
it's popping.
Start popping, man. It's crackling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's always my favorite part of a nitro car. They crank it up on alcohol, and it sounds smooth, and then they flip that switch and pop that nitro on. This motor sounds different.
Yeah.
So that with the aspect of the vintage drags, right? Going back to some of the vintage drags is, there's a history, and there's a reason why they call it
the vintage
drags, because it goes to when you go there, you'll see what we're talking about, because like the cars are, I think I'm not gonna say they're period correct, but
you'll see pie crust.
But you'll see some straight axles, you'll see some zoomies, right? Zoomies were back
center
in the day.
lines, 70s style.
You'll see some Kragers and some slots and some bias ply slicks. You'll see that, and you'll see. You'll see a 55 or 56 with the straight axle or something, right? So it's going to be it's fun. But
one thing that because this stuff you see it, right? You kind of see it all. It's been out popular, real popular with the straight axle, right? So everything's like gasser. Right. The one thing that that I think nobody has gone into yet is. And it's not even complicated, but that's going into the 1970s look with the center lines, the gold valve covers, the tunnel ramps that they had back then. They're big block motors,
right?
But that look where the car is low,
right,
and you've got the big wheels in the back, but they're center lines or super trick Krager super tricks,
Super Kragers,
super trick wheels. There's a few that go out there, and those are the ones that I'm always trying to go look for because there's always this Stingray Corvette, with that's real low in the front, and it's got the big, Pro Street tires,
Big tires,
but they're tucked in, or that little Monza or little Vega. Those were the Pro Stock days, and these were the cars that
was like what Bill Glidden had the Mustang 2, and then you had the Vegas.
Yeah, and today, you see these. Yeah, today you see these no prep cars, right, where they take off and the whole front end unsettles and it's riding up high, right, like a gasser. And these guys, they had their front end clamped down. Mm-hmm. So every time that they would pop the clutch, man, the whole thing would just not the car wouldn't go up. It was the suspension, the wheel, everything was just popping and landing hard.
Those slicks were taking all the bite. Yeah, the sticks would compress and make it look like the suspension going, but it was really the tires.
Yeah,
tires were hooked, but the suspension was rigid as hell.
So Joe White one day is standing there with me, and we're looking at his '69 Camaro go by, right? It's a Doug Nash 5-speed, but that's what they ran back then. And so it's like a 388 small block in his car, and he's talking to me, he's laughing, he's smiling at me, he's like, look at it, because he's pops in the clutch after he gets out of the burnout box, and the car's like launching, and he goes, he goes. We had to change the whole suspension out of that car because that motor's got a lot more power. I said, "What'd you do?" He goes, "Well, back then I used to use that Mopar snubber right there on the pinion." He goes, and we preload the hell out of it, and he had there were adjustable conies back then, and he goes, "But they're the same conies, man, that we had in there." He goes, "But this thing had more power that it shoved that snubber up into the damn floorboard." Oh. He goes, and we had to change it all out. He goes, that's how we ran back in the day.
Had the snubber
snubber on the preload, and you would have
the pinion, the snubber on the pinion,
yeah. And I think he ran. I guess they may have been ladder bars, or I guess the traction bars earlier in the day. But he had some big center lines on it. But the front end was locked down, it was, and so the car would jump with the lock suspension. And I was just kind of like, man, that car really acts different than all the other cars here. This car's just, they were running, they were covering the slicks in the sun. I mean, he was running that operation old school style. And I went up to him and I asked him, I said, man, you've got these guys. He goes, oh yeah, I'm telling them what to do, how to get the car ready before. And every time they would move that car, man, they would do their little setup, or they'd crank down on adjusting the clutch. For better bite. Today these guys adjust the shocks. Mm-hmm. They're going on the clutch, and he goes, we're gonna be good here. We're not gonna wheel this
traction
time.
Control.
Yeah, and then Mark's like, man, I need some other help, man. My clutch is a little too tight. So we get, I go to Mark. So what are you gonna do? He goes, I don't know. I said, I'm gonna see if I can go get what's his name to get under my car and adjust it. It was funny, man, because they were, and then finally they ran, and there was a Jericho versus Doug Nash, standard transmission cars, and man, when they passed by after the 60-foot, I mean, you could hear those scream, because everybody was hearing automatics. Yeah. But when those two dudes got on it, man, it was fun. And Mark got beat by a little bit, but it wasn't. He's like, no, I think it was just the technique. These guys are pros. But that's what gets me excited is whenever I see those vintage tracks and you see those hardcore racers from back in the day just show up and teach you something.
It's fun. Like I said, it's fun, and it's usually it's like an all day thing, because
it's hot.
There's
nitro in the air.
It'd be hot. It'd be kind of warm.
Hamburger smell in the air.
Yep. It'll be the cool thing about these drags, they start early, so they don't start at 5 o'clock. They start at like 10 o'clock.
So if you get there like at 9, you actually get to watch these guys.
They're probably gonna go hot run. They're probably gonna start about 10ish, making some time trials, and then I think they'll probably start running like at noon or something.
Right.
So, it's an early meet. May 17th and 18th, Little River Dragway, Academy, Texas. So head on out. Like I said, if the weather permitting, but as of right now.
So what you been up to? Personally,
not much, man. Just
wiring up cars.
I've done a few cars like on the low.
How's your wiring business going? And
it's good.
You got more cars marked?
I've turned down like 3 or 4 cars because I wanted to do some stuff of mine.
Yeah.
I didn't turn them down. I just
postponed them for another day.
Delayed them, and then I've done 2 cars. And actually, I've done 3 cars this year, which is slow.
Right.
But we've been doing some stuff on the 55. Like I said, we plan to take it out this weekend, the car, and the Camaro. It'll probably be out this year. I mean,
you've done some major changes on your car that you haven't really brought it out.
I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, there's some
Not
changes.
motor-wise,
yeah.
but fuel injection.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
fuel
convergence,
injection,
all
the
that.
convergence fuel injection, and
Wheels.
add a bunch of sensors, man. And
You went to small tire.
yeah,
Sometime back.
so I had the rate, and I went ahead and I put a 2910.5 back on it
Okay.
because
That's the
I
tire to
don't.
go with.
Well, I mean, even like Tamayo's event,
Mhm.
Tamayo's having an event at the end of June, which
Mhm.
is an old school back half, which is, well, not an old school back, it's an old school 10.5.
Okay.
Old school 10.5 was based off of a Texas True 10.5, which
Yeah.
was a 29.5 10.5, right? So he's going back to some of those things. Which
He's trying to get
there's a lot of
Dinko.
cars.
He's trying to get Dinko to come back.
He got him coming out. He
He
coming.
got. He made him right.
He's
now.
coming. He's coming.
I saw a post. That small
So
block.
so yeah. So Pontiac. So he's coming out. So anyway, so I mean the change that I made was nothing really major, just EFI, and I just added a bunch of sensors and things that I wanted to do in the meantime.
Mhm.
But it's taking time. You know, I got other things. You know, personal stuff. You know, like just house and kiddos and
That hailstorm.
family gatherings. Man,
Racking shit up.
this month of May itself, man, you already had Mother's Day and then had a birthday. There's just
Mhm.
bam, bam, every week there's something going on. So,
Right.
But with that being said, I plan to be out. I mean, I plan to do something in the Camaro, both cars.
Had you been out
Big
on
stick-
on the small tire since you switched over?
No.
The drag radial or
No, I never
28
did.
or
I
whatever
never
you
did.
put
So
on
I
there?
had a 28 10.5
Yeah.
bracket radio. I never went out on it.
what size of wheel was that? Is that a 12?
It's a 14.
And you had the tire fit?
Mhm.
Blew
Oh, yeah.
it up.
Yeah, they work.
Nice.
Yeah, they work. A lot of people, you'll see a lot of people run a 28 on a
Mhm.
14. I mean, it blows the sidewall out, which I think, personally, I think that makes the tire last longer.
Yeah.
Just me, I don't know, but because you're not working the sidewall so much.
Is it a soft tire or a stiff?
No, it's hard. It's stiff. Radials are stiff, man.
Oh, it was a radial?
Yeah,
Oh.
well, like what I got on it now, the
Mhm.
28, the 29.5 10.5, that's a stiff wall. So you can buy a stiff wall regular, but I
I
get
put
stiff
tubes
wall.
in them damn things and
I got
cruise.
tubes in mine.
cruise on the street.
Yeah, I got tubes in mine. I think tubes help.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't run tubes, but I think they help. I had the last 29.5 10.5 set of tires I had. A lot of people would get like 10, 15 passes on them. Man, I had like almost 50 passes on those tires, and I was still catching 118 60
Nice.
foot. But when they go out, they'll go out. You'll know.
Right. A lot of
They'll
people are
go
so
out.
worried about the date, but I think if you just take care of your tires and keep them in the dark setting,
Yeah, keep them indoors. Like I said,
Yeah.
I keep all my tires indoors, just because I mean the dates are one thing, but if a date has, if they're gone, they're gonna go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just based off the rubber and how
Right.
if they get hard or
The
not.
oil.
Yeah, the oil. But if you keep them indoors in a climate control, dark, like I said, they'll be fine.
I've seen
It
it
all
back.
it all depends on how much power you put on them. Because
Right.
if you put like a whole lot of power,
Stretch 'em out
they
too
may
much.
not be the best thing. But
Yeah.
if you're not putting like a lot of power, like me, it doesn't matter. So, but I mean, I had like 50 passes on the set, and they were still kicking ass. But like I said, I caught one good set, one pass before, and then the very next hit, like you knew they went away because I didn't do nothing different. The track was the same, and they just blew the tires off.
Right.
They're gone. So
I wonder if it's the same for a drag radial tire.
well, see, a drag radial, you can get more pass on a drag radial.
Right.
But again, it all depends on how much power you put down. If you put like killer power, you'll wad those tires up, and once you wad a tire up, and
Heat cycle, wad.
well, the sidewalls go away, then they ain't worth the shit. But
What's the construction on some of those tires? Is it steel belted or regular rope style or?
I think they're still they got. I want to say they got steel belts, and they're belted.
Do they?
Yeah, they're just patterned a little different. Again, I don't know. I'm not no
Yeah.
expert. But
Because there's always a new
they're-
drag
they're-
radial coming out, man, that works better than the next. You know,
Well, man, I mean, Mickey Thompson had
some
their
killer tire that just came out, right?
because well, the bracket radio's been out for about 5 or 6, 7 years. The Pro's been out for about 10 or 12,
Mm-hmm.
but the Pro's still the superior tire. That's the best tire, the Pro. That's
But what was that one tire that just came out like a few months back and they were advertising it?
shit, I don't
It
know.
was confusing.
I don't know.
It was
I have-
confusing people. They had people asking questions. I remember
Oh,
that time.
I don't
Like,
know.
hell is- well, everything's scarce already anyway, so
Yeah, I don't know.
doubt you'd get your hands on it.
Yeah,
It was
I
like a
mean,
radio. It was a radio Pro, but I don't know what
Yeah.
the difference of the compound was. But
yeah. I mean, they got a bracket. They got a Pro. They got a few others. They got like a True Radio. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing with the reason why I went back to a slick was because I got a new combination. I don't want to be dealing with a new combination and then worrying about the suspension.
Because it's different.
It's different.
You got to try one thing at a time.
So I'm like, well, I'm just going to try the motor, and then once I get the motor dialed in on the slick, then I'll do the radio.
You got the converter thing squared away, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good.
Or it's the same one.
It's the same one. There's nothing different on the motor. The motor's all the same, so there's no reason for me to change the converter. The only thing was just the EFI. I mean, I put a little bit bigger cam lobe separation, but that's it.
That's just for the advantage of the nitrous, or
more nitrous, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I had the cam I had in it before was really, honestly, it was an NA cam. I mean, it was. I probably should have been spraying what I was spraying on it, so I got a little bit more lobe separation. It's the same thing. It's a dual swap. It's a 4723 swap cam. Some people call it LS firing order.
Yeah. But it's not really, all the swaps. It's not the whole complete swap. It's a different firing order, a little bit.
Yeah, it's a dual. So instead of 1843657 it's 1872.
Yeah.
And then you got your So it's just a dual swap.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you're just swapping 4 and 7 and 2 and 3, but that's it. I mean, there's nothing major other than the EFI. But the combination is going to be different. It's a learning curve. So
does that the different cam setup like that? It actually changes the tone of the car. It sounds a little.
It does.
Like a Mustang, you can tell it's a Mustang because of their firing order, but.
Well, that original firing order, that dual swap, it came from a 4, like an earlier, like from the GT, like a GT1. I don't know, like an earlier, like CC9ish model. That's where it originated from.
Fords were always weird, man. Did you get the 351 firing order? Or did you get the
because Ford's got even a small block Ford got 2 different firing orders. Then you got 351. So many different firing orders. So, but yeah. So like that firing order came through, then LS got it, and then you start hearing, that was an LS firing order.
Ask me, LS is a damn Cleveland motor. It looks just like the block, the way the mains are, all that shit. There was a guy here on the magazine lately. Yeah. He put some Gen 4 heads or something like that.
I seen that.
Did you see that?
I think I seen
and
that.
And it didn't change much. He goes, man. He goes,
I
didn't do much other than the water jackets.
Yeah, I did see that. He put that on. He put LS heads on them.
Right.
I did see that.
I mean, I don't see why, because now you can get a 5.3 block, and it's might as well be a bow tie block, because they're freaking tough as shit.
They got some different webbings, but there's a 153 that's got stronger webbing than the other.
Yeah.
But I don't know a number or anything.
Like back in the early late 90s, 2000, the LS1, the LS6. It's the LS6 block, man. It's a better block and everything. And everybody started turning out that, no, man, those things are freaking. they do shift, because they've got more cooling for ventilation. Yeah, and so I'm looking at my cars. I have an 02 Camaro and the 02 Trans Am. The 02 Trans Am has the LS1 block, and then the other one has the LS6. Yeah. And so Noah's like, so what do we do? Do we put the turbo and crack up the boost? I'm like, nah, I don't know. Yeah. We might want to just keep it, on the tame side. It's an LS6 block. He goes, isn't that supposed to be badass? I said, no, it's just actually.
They still.
I guess it's more circle. I don't know, track. F1 style bullshit. But he's like, so what? Do we just go get a 4.8 and do something with it? I said, we can do some tricks with that little 4.8, and you'll see a 4.8 on it, but it's got difference.
I heard it's the same block.
It is the same block. Yeah, the cranks and the rods change.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a little weird combination for that one. and then the Trans Am, we just kept it as a LS1. It has low mileage. There's no failure on it, but
well, like I said, that all those LS1s and the third gens. Strong, man. You can get, thing about any LS, you put power to them, but overall, it's a niche, it's a pick, it's a more of a preference if anything. So.
Right.
But I'm slowly getting on LS. I'm not there yet, but
you tried converting, right?
I'm trying. I mean, it's in the works. I'm just,
It's a waiting period. It's a learning curve.
It's kind of a learning curve to get familiar with it. But
you're gonna go racing.
I do see the power, and I do know the potential. You can do a lot with it. It's just getting there,
Right.
But
the only thing I don't like about with my cars, is that you're not it's like you're not putting an LS in a Malibu or a square body. You're putting it in a freaking crammed space that. even to put an intake on my car, you got to cut the freaking where the wiper system sets up, and then if you don't get a hood immediately, you got a big hole between your window and the damn firewall.
Yeah.
So you got to modify so much shit on these cars just to put a you want to do turbo. No, it's more than that.
Yeah.
You got to cut out radiator setups and then compromise a lot of other things that you got to work around doing. So we took our car apart. And it's exploded. Everything's on the floor. The K-member, everything's out.
Yeah.
And so we're like, do we want to mess up this poor car? It's a WS6. Do we want to ruin its value or keep its original stuff? Because at some point, everybody's car always goes into race car mode. Within 3 years, it's like, what happened to that beautiful car you had? Now you can't even drive it, because you've gone too far. You know what I mean? You can't even
that's true.
Drive it to a show, or you can't take it you can't race and then say, yeah, I'll be at a show, and it's just as clean. Your car is very clean. It's all steel.
Right. I mean, even that, like I said,
your dash is there. It's really nice.
That's any like potential that I look for is just hey, you got a dash. But like your cars, like I said, those cars, you either it's extremely one way, then you're no looking back.
There's no
so
looking
like
back.
I said, we try to keep the integrity. Like I said, I tried, that was, I always wanted all glass. I didn't want no fiberglass other than the hood, dash, front end, firewall. It's all there. I mean, that's all steel. It's all factory. So same thing with you guys, like your Falcon, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. So
now that one is just the shell, but it's the stock dash.
But you still got the dash in there.
I still got the dash.
Firewall.
I kept the shock towers there, but the whole bottom is an AJE.
But I mean, still that's aftermarket's fine. Like so my front half is a bolt on too. So.
Yeah. See, I like your bolt on. So I was looking for something similar to what you did.
Yeah, it's a bolt on factory, the wheelbase, length. It's all there. Bolt on the factory location. So. Right. Yeah,
I like the way Mustangs handle. They handle better than control arms. So I'm like, nah, man, I don't like this early Mustang shit. It's just ugly. Yeah. I can't. There was a crash at Yellow Belly, and there was a Mustang that crashed a few years back. Yeah. And it looked like he had stock set up on it. And I'm like, I don't think I like that. So anyway, I swapped it all out to that, and I'm happy with that. Yeah. But that car, it's all steel, but I've got aftermarket gauges behind the.
I mean, like I said, got the fact. You see some cars like, ooh, it looks good, there, but then you go look at their dash, they done ripped the whole dash, they got aluminum dash. I'm like, oh, okay, man.
Right.
That's your niche. I'm not for all that.
You're not gonna go any faster.
I mean,
You just want your gauges right there next to your fingers. That's
when you go that route, you got to put like a knee bar or something. I need to go double check the rules. The rules might change, but if you got like a factory dash, you can have a knee bar if you want it, or like a dash bar to keep the rigidness from side to side. I don't know if it's necessary. I got to go double check the rules, but before it wasn't. If you had a factory dash, you didn't need it like a knee bar. But anyway, that's. Not only that, I just like the way it looks. And that was always my thing when I did the streetcar, the club, right? It was like, hey, factory appearance,
Well, you remember the World Fastest Streetcar Association?
Yeah.
Those guys would do a complete tube chassis car. Yeah. But if you looked in there's a Lenco.
Yeah, a Lenco in there.
You have a stock drive, dash.
Yeah. Maybe have an altered firewall. I mean, a tunnel, but for the Lenco.
But everything else looked nice. Yeah. The car was really low. And then you see them run. They ran like a 7.8, 7.9. Damn. Yeah. That's what I always wanted to build. Something with even the inner fender wells inside, like those orange cars, cars.
Yeah, the cars. The cars. Yeah.
Man, those cars.
They had
tubbed out.
Rick Dyer, Danny Scott, and like Danny Scott had a badass like that pretty like a '66 Chevelle.
That's the one I was talking about. That one had the
that's the one those. Yeah, that's the way you look. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
They had a factory appearance, but they had like badass tube chassis.
Yeah.
Chassis like built around the car.
They paid more to keep the car looking good. Like he had inner fender wells.
Inner fender wells, man. Like I said, there was a '69 that orange Rick Dyer had a '69.
Yeah. Oh, that
'69 orange '69 Camaro.
Yeah. The yellow one.
Yeah, the yellow one. The cars. Yeah, the cars deal. They were. I mean, that was to me. That's the way.
They should be.
The way I was always. That's why not my car was that fast, but that's why I always imagined too. Like, okay. A good looking car, don't have a lot of flash and stickers and shit. It's steel, slow.
Yeah.
Big motors, big nitrous motors. Right?
There was one video that they did, and it was just a Saturday, one of those Saturday TV shows, and they had Nick Scavo on.
Oh,
and he gets those guys
the
to
Impala.
Go, for a ride in an Impala, and they're like, damn, it's got the full seat interior, the full race bar,
cage, roller windows,
And then he goes, so to do quick access, because he opens the hood and it's all there.
Yeah.
But he had the pins to remove the radiator all completely just out, and then the motor boom, and it was gone. It wasn't. Yeah. And then he had a column shift.
Yeah, I'd say he had a column shift.
And he he reversed the pattern because he had a Glide and a 400 that he would switch with. But everybody wanted to know, man, how did you do it? How did you? So he finally posted a little. I guess he wrote it in the magazine how he changed it. There was a bunch of guys running around with a freaking column shift. Wanting to run into shift.
It was like a ratchet shift. It was like a click.
Well, it would go down.
Obviously,
tap. But you would see that car, man, just take gear after gear, and he's lifting them. Yeah, and he was running like 8s. It wasn't slow.
That was fast. Yeah, that was fast. A big old full
full
body.
Interior. I saw the guys jump in through the bars and sit in the back seat, and they're all cruising, man, like they're gonna go for ice cream. And I was like, man, that's what I want. But that takes a lot of work, man, to put a car like that.
And back there, that's what you did. Mm-hmm. That was my thought. But now and then everything now is like all fiberglass, lightweight cars. They don't weigh nothing. Yeah.
Well, today fast. I think today's.
It is what it is. I can dig it.
Well, today, you can get like a full carbon body, inner fenders, the whole damn thing. The car looks like it's an original car, but it's carbon fiber, everything. And so the windows may roll up and everything, but the doors are all carbon fiber. That's something pretty cool, but it's not obtainable.
Yeah, even like a full body carbon, that's $10,000 probably.
Yeah,
but like I said, that's where it's that lightweight money. You got money. A lot of people do pocket. They
well, back then you could go to unlimited glass and just get a whole front end right on fenders and hood and. Yeah. I like your radiator support. It's made out of tube.
Yeah, that's a Ron Rhodes chrome moly core support. Yeah, that takes out all the bulkiness. Right. It looks good, clean. You're not saving a lot. You're probably saving a lot.
No, it just looks nicer.
Yeah, it looks nicer. You're saving about 6-8 pounds, maybe not. I think the factory core is like 15, 18 pounds. Yeah. This one's like 8 or 9 or something. So it looks better. It's just clean, slick, not a lot of,
Your firewall is still stock.
It's still stock. It's stock. So that was my way I wanted.
You had that same vision that we.
Yeah, that's what I didn't want to alternate. I didn't want to cut nothing. I didn't want to. If I were able to run full exhaust, I would. But unfortunately, if I want to get my car low enough, I can't because it's just too low. I'm not cutting out the tunnel on the floor. The floors. Yeah. So that's the only reason why I cut my wheel wells out. I wouldn't have. If not, my car would have been.
Now, do you ever plan on putting your passenger seat back in at one point? Yeah. Because you got a kid now, and I'm sure he'd want to go right around.
Yeah. I got another seat. I got everything for it. I can put it in. When I do, I will. I'll just put the seat in. And I'll mount my bottle in the seat. Boom. Yeah. So I would.
Because a lot of guys back in the street days. Man, they ran that big old 7AL right there on the floorboard, and you'd still have a passenger seat. Just don't touch it.
You can put it. Don't hit my button. You can put it there, or you can kick your feet up. But the thing about everything for my car, I still have everything. I still have I got 2 other hoods. I got a steel hood. I got the wheel wells. I got the core. I got the factory 3-core radiator. Shit, I got everything to put the car. Yeah. It's still street legal. No, the only thing that I took out was recently I put a removable steering. I still had the original steering wheel in there not too long ago.
Oh yeah, the column and the whole thing. Or?
Yeah, the column's still factory, but I had the original steering wheel. I took the original steering wheel.
I do remember seeing
that. And I put a smaller, quick disconnect. I still got the column. It's still my hazard lights work.
Does it feel different when you're racing it with the big wheel versus? Because when it lands, you still got to
the thing here, the only difference is the racing steel wheel it's just smaller. It's just because the factory one's like a big. It's like an 18-inch. Yeah. It's big. Only reason I took it out because I put the other bar in there and I couldn't get in. My knee would hit, so I took the removable so I can get in easier. But you can feel the difference. It's got a little bit of radius difference because you're not moving the wheel. You're not moving the wheel as much when you're driving, but with the smaller one, you're doing that.
Do you have the removable and where you can hang it, or you just sit on the side?
I just sit on the side for now. I ain't got a hook yet. I've been trying to do some 3D prints.
Yeah.
trying to come up with some
That's what
design.
I like.
That's another thing I've been trying to.
Yeah.
I've been messing with that 3D printer.
You getting good at it? You getting better? I mean, I've seen
I
some of your
wish.
stuff.
I mean,
I think you got something in top secret mode right now.
yeah, it's covered up
Something going
already.
on.
So there's some things that I am working on, but I
What are some
you
products?
don't run out of you run out of daylight.
What are some of the products that you want to deliver to your customers by using that?
I've been working on a GPS mount for a Holly
Mm-hmm.
GPS sensor. I've been actually working on two for a master kill switch for like a lot of people has them, the little master momentary little
Right.
button. And I'm making a mount so you can put on your roll bar. So that's another thing I'm working on. I got Holly port covers. Those are simple. You can get those anywhere. I've been working on a helmet and a steering wheel hook.
Yeah.
That needs some more
Camera on the back of
revamping.
the roller. I don't know one of those. Yeah, you can buy those.
Yeah, you can buy those. I mean, you could probably make one work. You probably got to get a little bit more different filler, other than like the standard. You need one a little more stronger.
Yeah.
You can withstand heat.
Yeah.
Because the ones I've been using, I've been testing with. They're good and strong. It's just when they get heat, they're not too temperamental. They are temperamental. But anyway, I'm just testing some things with this. Then you get some different element that costs more for a little more stronger, rigid stuff. You run out of daylight and you don't have a lot of time. So
No, man. When
that's
you're
why
designing,
we've been doing this here, right? So
yeah, when you design program, I guess when you're doing program, like me, I got into a website.
Yeah.
Dude, I was really good at it, but man, it would consume. I could sit down at 5 o'clock,
and
I got to be at work at 6.
yeah,
I would sit down at 5 o'clock and I would barely eat. Now my wife was working on it, so
Yeah.
I was just me, right, and my buddy. So I get on the computer, I start typing away, just typing away code, just code.
Yeah.
And by the time I look up, it's already 11:30. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
And then you do it again the next day. Now here's the second page. You're typing on.
Yeah.
You look up, it's like, damn. I don't even have time to watch TV, to hang out.
Yeah, especially
it
when
rushes that fast.
Yeah, especially when you do code and then you got
And
to
this is
test it.
different,
You
though.
got to test it and
Right.
make sure the links are working on and stuff. So.
And this is how these printers work. It's
Yeah.
all based on AutoCAD.
It's all AutoCAD. It's all, and that itself was just learning curve.
And now some of that software is free, right?
Yeah,
When they
yeah.
come in, so it's
Yeah,
not that it's hard to buy like it used to be.
Yeah, it's you can go to Fusion. I use Fusion 360. It's a web-based program that all your saving it's all in the cloud.
right.
So which is not a big deal. You can save it back to your computer. But you design it in Fusion, and then there's a program that I use. It's called Kira.
Right.
And that's where you get your scaling down, right? And then it converts it to your language of G code.
Right.
And then when you put it in Cura, you put your printer and it scales it down to
what you're doing.
to your form, to your pad, then to what you're doing. So that helps out a lot because that's kind of like a cutting tool.
Right.
So you definitely need to do that. But learning all this other shit is just one thing that you add to your notch.
You're
Like I
going
said,
to be wiring cars, or you're going to sit there,
Well, yeah.
designing.
And well, that's the thing. Like I said, when I'm wiring cars, that takes up time, right?
Mhm.
And like anybody who knows, I'm not doing it like overnight. I do a couple hours a night when I have time. Boom, boom, boom. I'll knock it out.
Yeah, because you still work full
Yeah, I
time.
still work full time, but got a little active 7-year-old boy, keeps
Right.
me busy. But other than that, like I said, I mean that's one thing that I've been working on. Like we've all been working on things. You've been working on your cars.
I have a
You've been
house.
working on your
and I
house. Yeah, you've been working on.
I
your
got
house.
3 cars because I got two guys that they want to go race, man. Well, they just want to ride around. And, one pocket for 3 cars.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, so that's the thing. We're in springtime, so hitting the yard, right? Trying to get the yard up. to
Damn,
date,
this
blah, blah,
rain.
blah. In the rain. Like, so that's
I'm backed up on grass cutting every weekend.
So events coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some other big events, but locally there's the vintage drags, May 17th, 18th. Then there's Big Sleepy, which is June 7th and 8th, I believe.
Right.
And then Tamayo's got a race at Little River at the end of, I think it's the 22nd of June.
Everybody
All
wants
at
to do
Little River.
something. Everybody wants to do something.
All at
If you
Little
live
River.
if you live in Austin,
Yeah, if you live around Austin, Central
that's
Texas,
where you want to go.
if you're into racing, those are gonna be big events.
The only track that they have now going south is what is it, Edinburgh or some deal?
Well, Edinburgh, Edinburgh's big.
Eagle Pass.
not as you can pass. And of course,
That's
it's
far
Houston.
though, man. That's
Man,
like 4
San
hours.
Antonio closed down. You know, dang it.
Right.
But it is what it is.
Man,
So,
even I-10 is crap.
yeah.
Have you been down there? It's awful, man. It's
yeah.
they're redoing it, and
Even like going that way, yeah.
it's You pass by the old San Antonio place, and you're like, wow, it changed.
I haven't been. I just heard it's like a bunch of parking, like a big parking spot out there.
That's all it is. It looks like a flea market.
The stands are still up. Aren't the stands still
dead
up?
flea market.
Aren't the stands still
I
up?
think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just driving.
No, I haven't been down that way. There's no reason for me to even go down that way, man. That used to be the place to be. Go Friday night, man.
Yeah, no, not anymore.
No, not
Little
anymore.
River.
Yeah, Little River. Anything north of Little River, of course, XRP in us. You know, and then there's a new track opening up in West Texas. I can't remember the name of it, but you know that's 4, 5, 6 hours from here. That's too far.
Right.
You know.
There's that. Were you saying that there's a new track that's breaking ground?
That's in it's supposed to be like in San Angelo or something.
San Angelo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's
somewhere
around
over
it.
there.
It's
Yeah,
around it.
somewhere
It's
over
kinda,
there.
I can't remember the name of the town.
Yeah.
But,
But you've probably seen it too, then. Yeah.
They broke ground.
They broke ground. They're laying concrete.
Yep.
So that's a big deal.
I have a friend who lives down there, so I'm pretty sure he probably knows a little bit,
Yeah.
or at least the guys who race out there.
Yeah. And that's a big scene here in Texas. Big scene racing.
Right.
I mean, they're still getting on the street. I'm assuming they're more underground now. I guess. I mean, I see some things that they still hit the street.
Now we're going to bring Thomas on today to explain about the.
Yeah.
Because he's deep in that.
Yeah, Thomas is deep. You know, he's kind of caught up doing some other things. So you know, he does shed a lot of light because him and they got a Mustang they run. They run another class now.
Right.
But yeah, he knows a lot of that stuff. So Thomas is tied up. He got busy. You know, personal things.
Right.
Which is all good. We'll catch up with him another time. And on the call out, you know, there was. I kept repeating in the last couple of episodes, we had stuff lined up, and yes, we haven't forgot because there's some people that we still have lined up, but they're busy. Everybody's busy. Everybody. It seems like every time we get something, everybody got something going on.
Yeah.
And we understand. We're not. You know, it is. It's.
We like
life.
to actually bring people in to sit down.
Yeah.
Because you get to meet them.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not a deep pocket podcast.
Oh yeah.
But we've been sitting here for a couple of years now, and I guarantee you, man, it's an experience when you come and you sit down and you talk versus if we just call you on the phone.
Yeah. I mean,
because we've interviewed quite a few people.
Got quite
here.
a few, yeah.
And so now when you go to the track, you see these guys.
Yeah.
It's like we kind of brought the community together a little bit because now you know the faces. You know
I think
the cars.
face, yeah, you know the face,
So,
you hear the voice, now you know the face.
So guys, man, it's important, man. Come on down, guys, and support the drag racing community. Without support, you're just going to be independent, and if you have a race organization that you're trying to promote at the track,
anything.
If the face can get put with the event, if the promoter can get put with the event, people will feel comfortable knowing that when they go to the track, they know who they're looking at. They know the cars, and they're gonna feel comfortable because they're gonna feel like it's family.
Yeah,
it's not NASCAR. This isn't NASCAR. This isn't dirt races. This is you're talking about a small track with lots of history. When cars show up and you can put a face to a car, it just brings the community together. It brings out everybody who hasn't been out. Looking at who are the new guys because now they know who these new guys are because they heard them here on the podcast.
There's a new click, whatever's going on, and to add to that, like you said, if you got anything events you want to promote, I mean, we got a little there's a little audience we have, and by the way, we do have a new we did move off our Podbean. So
we're straight up on Spotify.
We're straight up on Spotify. So that was kind of a major thing there because it was causing some confusion. So
you can catch us on YouTube if you want to see the video of us talking. If you want to see a monkey and another monkey speak to each other, go to YouTube and we'll be there.
Yeah. So like I said, on Spotify, it's the Big Buckin deal with Paul and Buck.
Right.
So no Podbean. That's we're strictly on Spotify, and we are on YouTube, Big Buckin deal, and Facebook.
Right.
But that's a small little area that we're attached to. But again, we do get good feedback. We do get good traffic.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna say we put a lot of traffic out there because it takes a lot of time. We don't have a lot of spare time.
Right.
Like I said,
Now,
this is all pennies on our dime. This is all out of our pockets. So
yeah, Ray Buck here. He got this place rented out for himself, so he can do his cars, do the wiring, the little launch pad for us to do the podcast. We had some more things that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
We wanted to do some shirt designs and invite you guys to come out. Put on a little car gathering to come out here. Not your normal car show. We're talking about these race cars. Your little traders. Come on out and hang out. We were wanting to do things like that. So we got all these things in the work that we'd like to do. But man, what we love doing, man, is we love talking to you guys. When the newcomer, the old comer, the dad of a dad, showing up, families, It's, when people listen to these podcasts, you may not hit the like button, but I guarantee you listen to the whole thing. And sometimes this runs to an hour, 2 hours, and you learn a lot.
You may learn something you never heard before. You may like, oh wow, or you may knew something. Okay,
right.
Yeah,
we didn't know that person was doing this.
So it's all about just having fun, bringing people together, BSing. And like I said, what I was going to mention earlier is that, yes, we had some things lined up and scheduled the end of last year, first this year. We all got tied up, got flipped around backwards, things going on in personal life. And like I said, I got tied up with like a lot of stuff that I was doing, wiring and just fooling around. And now, again, I'm trying to get my shit together. But with that being said, probably after like the summertime, and I'm not going to put a timeline, but after summertime when stuff starts to cool down and I get my shit squared, I'll make a race too. We'll get somebody in. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that I had lined up with people, and don't forget, I haven't forgot about you guys, because like I said, I know some things like, hey, have you forgot about me? No, I haven't forgot about you. We're just super busy, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to just, us talking, BSing. If we have somebody online, then we're just going to talk about it.
We have a vending machine in here. We may have some beverages.
There'll be some beverages here, yeah. So there's been there's a few vendings that may offer some snacks and
cold stuff.
Some cold, yeah.
So, or you can bring your own. You can bring your own and hang out. We got a nice sofa for you to
that's the
fall
thing.
asleep on.
All things. We gather, we'll give you all guys a heads up.
It's a podcast pub.
We had a gathering a couple Fridays ago.
Yeah, it was fun.
Which was a cool little deal. We just had a small little group of people.
What's the owner of the shop here?
Tovar. Chris Tovar and his family, my family, and another gentleman, and you and your son. Hung out here, ate pizza, talked shit. It was good. Had a few drinks. So
the after party is always fun, guys, when y'all come to the podcast.
After party's always fun. We always have. There's always something cold here, but if you're always welcome to bring.
No, we do not sniff nitrous.
That's something I've been working on, by the way. I've been looking to get my mother bottle. And
Oh, hey, you were talking about it last night.
Yeah, I know
you want to get the central.
I have a mother bottle. It's just from when I had it last time. Things have increased, and there's a little bit different policies, and I've been. And anybody knows, let me know. I have a few connections, but I might have some nitrous refills here. So.
Yeah, that'd be the thing to go.
But anyway, with that being said, hey man, real quick, let's talk about this little book here and about the vintage drags.
Okay. So
real quick.
Here's what I've been doing for a while, right? So for you guys that know me, some of you guys may know me as just the t-shirt artist guy or just the artist guy.
Or that guy.
Or even know that guy that builds model cars. I actually build model cars so that I can put a scene together and actually create artwork. That's what I do. So I haven't released any of my artwork, but it's out there. It's it's just some drag racing artwork snapshots, and you will see me at swap meets with my two buddies, Josh and Noah. You'll catch me sometimes in Temple or wherever the swap meets are. But we are going to have a little setup with shirts and stuff. So for those guys that know me, I originally started off, and it's probably boring already, but I originally started off in 2009 when I met some of the old school drag racers in Austin. Right now, today you guys are fantastic in what y'all do. It's huge, but these were the beginners of the race here in Austin. So I took some photos. I collected some photos. The stuff got big on the internet, and now I've got all these photos. And I want to do a kind of like a little documentary. Me and Buck here are gonna put some photos and some video of how some of that stuff got started, and hopefully we can upload it to one of these networks that show movies.
Yeah,
so
there's a few networks out there, surprisingly.
right,
Yeah.
probably one of the ones we can say is Tubi. They're real friendly and uploading documentaries.
That's
and
something
things
to be
like
on the
that.
lookout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do that. So one of the things that I did was I'm also part of the plastic surgeons. We are a bunch of car guys. Some of them belong to the big car clubs of the nostalgia era here. So, you've got the Thunderbolts. You also got the Dukes Car Club that just came out. They resurrected the club name. This is original from 1950s. And so you'll know these guys because they already put on their own events throughout the year. But we come together and we build model cars. But we all have a specific type of car. We don't just build any car. Like we've got one guy. He just basically concentrates on vintage 1950s hot rods, and so everything's like almost period correct on. Really nice. Oscar, you guys know him. He's been on here. Mm-hmm. He's part of the Thunderbolts, and he's got a lot of knowledge in some of the old. You can just pass by his shop down Taylor, and you'll see what I'm talking about. He's got a bunch of cool cars. So I get into it. I start building some. What I like building is that 70s pro stock and gassers, but to connect that with the old racers back in the day, and this kind of ties in with the vintage drags. You may be going to event cars and it's like, man, I came away with an experience, but how it all started and why it's vintage now, it's because everything began in the 1950s here, and so the way the classes were set up back then were just invitational. Hey, set up a car club and get together, get a group, then come together. All you car clubs in the area come together and do an event, and then come on down to the national drags. And Little River was one of those tracks where you would set up and you would show up as a car club, not as an independent. You would show up involved as a car club, and so that provided structure to all the delinquency that was going around all over town, just racing and crashing and giving racers all a bad name, right? Yeah. So when you show up as a club and you promote your club as you have a safe car, so even if you get on the track and your car is safe, you're telling somebody, or at least your local authorities, that hey, you're not just going to kill yourself, or you're not just going to go kill a pedestrian driving around in your car, but you know what you're doing, So 1955 was the first NHRA drags, and there was really no class set up, because like right now we're talking about bracket racing, right? So I started looking at it, and we said, hey, why don't we build some model cars, but let's follow the rules of 1958 when they finally started setting up rules. Now you're going to be like, okay, yeah, so I'll get a 55 Chevy, but if you come to realize that back then you're talking about a brand new car that you're going to modify. So you still got a car payment, but you're trying to turn it into a drag car. There was no straight axle back then in 58. As a matter of fact, what you were seeing was going to the junkyard and finding a 1930s car and building something out of it. And then you'll realize that the frame sucks, so you end up making your own frame. You get a torch, you get a rod, and you get to welding. So that's what you would see in 1958. So we started building cars that would not exceed those rules. And so we're working on a bunch of cool model cars, and just we even brought Olin from the Thunderbolts to inspect to see if we had our fire suppressant, our roll bar. Did it have the scatter shield on it? You can't have hubcaps. Take your hubcaps off. What kind of slicks are you running? Because all of that would throw you into a different class. And so you had A-gas. You had roadster class, you had coupe class, you had most of these cars were just 1930s cars. So barely did you have a 55 Chevy or even like a 49 Chevy or Ford or Chrysler. But the engine of choice was always the Pontiac, the Oldsmobile, and the Hemi. So if you think about a small block Chevy, that thing was still new in 1955. So by 58, you can go buy yourself a 57 Chevy and race it. So you're going to have a brand new car on the line, no hubcaps, you're dual carb, you're fast, but you're heavy. So even that wasn't popular. So we decided to build a different version of you know, if you're going to be there. So we bring Olin, and Olin has his 32 Ford Coupe, and you know, he was there, you know. So I went and got the book that came out right after 1958, and it was a book by Wally Parks, NHR, and it's the complete book of hot rodding. It's basically the Bible, man. It shows you everything that they were doing down to the torque specs.
Was it showing like rules and
Man,
shit like that?
well, no, it was showing. This one showed the transmissions that they were running back then. For either manual or automatic, so you had a hydromatic. You had they would even run the cast iron power glass. Today everybody runs a power glass. Well, back then they were running the power glass
cast
too.
iron,
But they were showing the superchargers, because they did have superchargers from factory, but you know, very expensive. Right. But they had a bunch of cool things that you could that people back then were learning how to do, and that was to get like a pop-up piston.
They were running Ford pistons back then.
Yeah, and how to file it down and smooth it all down. How to port your own cylinder heads, create your own flywheel. Because back then they were cast iron, so back then you would get a chunk of steel, and you would cut it down, and then you put the ring gear on. That's a lot of heavy weight on it. Yeah, so you'd get your heavy duty, what is it, like a 40-pound flywheel or something, like 60 pounds, something. I don't remember what that is, but yeah, they would show a bunch of stuff, man, that
engine balancing
that you could you could buy. Like back then, they were just like roller cams were just coming out, and so if you had a roller cam, it was very expensive. But if you put it in your car, I mean, you were already ahead of the game, because. I guess the biggest cam back then was probably like a 450 lift or something like that for a small block.
For a small block.
And now you get a roller cam with a larger radius.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of learn a lot when you follow those rules, so that you can meet that class. So, like Oscar, he's like, I'll just get a 57 Thunderbird, and I'll go get a what is it, a 427? Or no, it's smaller, it's like a 360.
390 or?
No, it's like a 360 something.
Oh, 360.
And yeah, so he has to go look through all the model cars. He's, damn, I got to find the original motor, you know. And then you're like, well, that's the wrong year. You went past 58 or something like that. So it's funny, man, as we're building these headers. You can't just put headers because they didn't make them, so you had to make your own piping. So here I am struggling to make a freaking header. And then you have the rules. Yeah, you got the rules on how far you could place back your motor. All the same shit you're doing today in no prep, so you could have all the advantages. Yeah. Back then, there was like, they had cheater slicks that were pie crust, and then you had a real full set of slicks. They were called brute slicks, and those are the ones that you would see with the dragsters. But if you and they came out in 16-inch tires. So today, back then even. Oh yeah, so you're not the first.
You're doing that all back then, huh?
Yeah, 16-inch slicks. You have cheater slicks that you could put on a 15-inch rim. The rear ends that they would choose. I mean, you did have a 9-inch.
Damn.
That you could get, or you could get your Pontiac Olzer in. Yeah. So here we are looking through all the model crap, trying to find stuff to build these cars. It's fun. Yeah. Because you get to learn what these guys were doing back in the day, and so you'll appreciate the next time you go to a vintage drag and you look at or for me or for us, when we recognize these cars with period correct stuff, and today you can just go buy them off a speedway, all kinds of shit, be mismatch. But when you truly build a car for vintage drag racing and you enter one of those classes, you learn to appreciate that these guys went. Like Barrett, he went painstakingly hard to rebuild that 32 that he cruises around in with the top and then his flathead motor. I mean, he's got the old school period heads on it and his carburetors, and I mean to really know what it's like to build. He's got a wealth of knowledge too on Fords. But you struggle to learn how to put these old cars together. And that's what these guys, and believe me, for everybody that we interview here, we mainly talk about fuel injection turbos. Yeah. Man, there's an overpowering amount of car club style cars that are almost period correct from back then, and those shows overlap all the drag racing that goes on around here, and it's a lot. There's a lot of cars. I mean, you've got I'll name some. You got Jimmy Vaughn. He's been involved in that stuff. He's part of one of these car clubs.
Yeah, Continental, I think.
Yeah, Jesse James. He invites usually stuff to his shop out there. The Dukes put on another show over at the that Ghost Town. They did it a while back. The Thunderbolts did their thing at the Lone Star Roundup. So Austin, this central area, is like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in the United States for traditional nostalgia.
Traditional.
So when you go to these vintage drags, you'll appreciate these old cars. So
you'll see tons of them, man. They're tons.
And so with these little model cars that we built, and we just kind of started looking at stuff, we kind of learned a lot. Oscar is pretty much already ahead of the game, right? But you learn a lot, and so I figured, you know what? Why don't we do a documentary of some of these guys that were part of it in the late 50s, early 60s? And so I go and hang out. Like last Tuesday, I went with Butch Lake to go do slot car racing. Yeah, because he grew up in that time when slot cars, today it's RC. Well, back then it was slot cars. So he goes, hey, man, come on over. Let's go check it out. So I went to go check out slot cars, and the dude is crazy fast on those little tracks. Like I don't even know how he triggers those cars to come around the speed, those tracks, 'cause it's fast. And he's running it, man. And I mean, I was just having a blast with these dudes, man. These were the dudes that would put you on your ass on the drag strip back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Butch Lick could build some serious motors, you know, and his brother, half brother, was everybody knows him, Hands. Yep. I mean, he would modify you a set of heads, and he would tell you these valves are good for a race, and then you better change them out, you know, because they're as flat as shit, you know. But you know, they had a wealth of knowledge, and so when I go talk to these guys, man, it's like, you know, for you guys are like, okay, well, big deal, you know, what do y'all call it, boomers? Yeah. But man, these guys, if these guys were running today, doing what you would do, man, you watch out. These dudes are badass. Nice, yeah. Olin, when I talk to him, you know, normally when you hang out with somebody, you know, an elder guy, come here, sir, you know, I'll open the door for you. Man, Olin comes over, and the age don't matter. And you can just hang out and talk to him, and he'll tell you straight out everything about drag racing, what you got to do when you're at the line, your startup, and I mean, it's just cool as shit just to hear him watch, you know, talk. So we're gonna put that on film. Yeah. I don't know how long we'll take. Me and Ray are Buck are slow. Yeah. But
it'll happen. Just don't know when.
Yeah. I'm doing. You know, I'm gonna take some footage of the Austin High School, the original Austin High School, footage of the some of the cars that were running around back in the day, doing no prep, if you want to call that. Burleson Road, a bunch of other places around here that they raced at. So you guys aren't learning new roads. They've been there before, unless you're on the toll road, I guess. Right? They weren't on toll road. There was a cow patty. That wasn't there back then. Yeah, but these guys did that back then, and I just kind of want to put a little documentary to show some of these photos. Yeah. It draws a lot of interest on my Instagram page.
It's fun. It'll be fun.
Every time I post a photo, man, I mean, there's all kinds of likes from all over Texas that see these photos. And I have some of the rare sets of photos that probably nobody has seen. And some of the other ones came out on the, what's that magazine that comes out on here, Cars, Car Culture, or no, not Car, he drops them off at all these shops. Oh,
yeah, I know you're talking about. I don't know.
Well, he did an article on one of the guys
on Facebook, right?
No, well, yeah, he's on Facebook, but he also does. He drops off his magazine.
Oh, the Hill Country, Hill Country thing.
So he goes around. He does photography and all that stuff. So some of those cars, you may see it. Some of those cars are the same people that I'm talking about, and I actually have some photos from these guys that they gave me, some of them before they passed away. And so I want to put them on film so that you guys can kind of see the story of what they did and where they went to high school, how they formed the first drag strip, the car club, and then they went NHRA certified. NHRA actually certified these dudes, and a lot of people don't know that. You know, like Little River, it was an outlaw AHRA track.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks, this was NHRA sanctioned.
No, it was outlaw.
It was outlaw. Yeah. The only one that was NHRA was out in Oak Hill, and now Motorola, whatever it's called.
Oak Hill, now it's Oak Hill out there way,
So they sit on it, and then quarter mile came from quarter horses. I think that's what it is, and they started running on a dirt road back there, and then I guess it became paved or something. But it's a neat little story. So watch out for that. That's what I'm working on. I put my drawing a little bit on the back burner. Yeah. I've been talking to Buck. Hey man, we need to do this. We need to see how it rolls.
It's gonna happen. Just gonna plan it all out. Get some footage. The editing's gonna take a little while. That's the thing that takes. When you got to collab. But anyway, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be happening. So stay tuned. All I can say as of right now, we are going to plan to do some more shows. There's nothing scheduled because we do have things going on. But again, I'm going to try to hit some stuff hard and heavy to make some races. But he's going to keep me informed of what he's got planned and what we're going to do. But something probably by the end of the year, I would say, it's going to happen.
Go to Drag Racing Gassers, Texas, on Instagram, and you can see a lot of these photos there.
There you go.
You'll see Santa's little Chevy too as my logo.
There you go.
That's where you can see a lot of that stuff. And also, if you want to follow on Oscar, he's got, like I said, the model cars, and he does a lot with the Thunderbolts. So he's always posting photos of what those guys do. You don't want to miss out on the other half of car culture around here.
Car culture here, man. It's here to stay. Like I said, guys just don't understand.
Right.
It is
the
big.
guy here, the shop that what's his name?
Chris.
Tobar.
Yeah.
Man, he's got some amazing cars.
He's always, everybody knows that he's got a good collection.
Yeah.
Good collection.
So if we set up a little car hangout here, we would
down.
really like for all you guys to come out.
Yeah.
Because there's a little garage area around here. It's car crazy.
It's got some good stuff
fun.
here. And we can just have shits and giggles, have fun, bullshit. It'll be all good. We'll plan on that something. Maybe when the weather turns and not where it's too hot.
Stops raining.
Yeah, it stops raining. We'll try to get something going. But ultimately, what I was just saying is that we don't have a schedule. If we come with another show, it'll be maybe with a guest. If not, we'll just sit here and give us some more updates. Like I said, it's been slow going this year. Just a lot of things happening. So sorry for that.
I did pop up a my own little podcast.
Oh yeah,
that would go a little. I tried it out so before we moved over.
Spotify. What is it?
It's just my name,
Yeah,
my goofy ass face, Paul Hernandez, HRDEZ.
Okay, yeah.
I only have one little intro, man. I did it, I did it while I was laying down on the sofa. Hey guys, can y'all hear me? I'm not trying to speak too loud. I'll elaborate more on the vintage drag racing part. That's I'll maybe talk a little bit more in depth of those.
There you go.
Man, I got nothing to say much other than that because me and him is really the ones that kick off all the
right.
stuff. But if you ever want to hear some more of vintage stuff or model car stuff with Oscar and those little type of things, I may spend a good 30 minutes out of
do something on
once
there.
a week or something, and maybe I'll even bring Buck. Hey Buck,
yeah,
what's up?
Whatever. Like I said, even like we can have. I know Oscar. You can always have something here again.
Oscar always has something cool at his place. There's never a dull moment when you go to his garage.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear me talk about some of that stuff. More about vintage.
Hell yeah. Well, like I said, it's all fun. Like this weekend, May 17th, 18th, Little River Dragway, Academy, Texas. Be there. But until next time, like I said, hopefully soon, we'll have something coming up with some updates and some feedback. Just some ongoing news that we can probably share.
And I may be there, you never know, taking photos.
Well, you might need to, man. Maybe the media man.
You see the dude with the red cap, bald-headed, black shirt? That's me.
There you go. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Until next time, we'll catch everybody on the other side. Peace.